Alright, now we're doing 7Q Draw Me a Chessboard. This is by Andrew McMurray, and 94% of the people like it. So a grid is a perfect starting point for many games: chess, battleship, Candy Crush. Making a digital chessboard, Andrew McMurray thinks, is an interesting way of visualizing how loops can work together. Our task is to write a function that takes two integers, rows and columns, and returns a chessboard pattern as a two-dimensional array. So chessboard 6-4 should return an array like this, to where it's like 6 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 4 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. This one is 3, 7, so 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 7. All right. So the white spaces should be represented by by a capital O, and the black a capital X. And the first row should always start with a white space. Okay. So we could do a double for loop for this. For sure. We could say let result equal an empty array. And then we say for let I equal 0, and then we'll say while I is less than, and first we're going to be doing these rows right here, so we'll say less than rows, we'll say I plus plus. All right, and for each one of these we're going to put an empty array, as you can see right here. So we're going to say let array equal an empty array. So now we've got, this is the result array, and then this is the array right here. So we're going to want to put each one of these O's and X's inside the elements of this array right here. So we're going to do another for loop saying for let J equal 0 while J, whoops, what is going on? While J is less than columns, we're going to say J plus plus, all right? And so here's the thing. How are we going to know which one to put where, okay? So let's do a little thinking for a second, okay? So this one here is at row 0, column 0. So this O is at 0, 0. This X is at 0, 1. This one is at 1, 0. All right. So now this one is at 0, 1, 2, 2 at 0. Hold on a second. 2, 4, 4, 2, 0. It looks like all these zeros have something to do with even spaces, right? So if we add the I and the J together, we'll get an even number. But on this one, if we add the I and the J together, the 1 plus the 0, or any of these for that matter, we'll get odd numbers, right? So here's another one: 6 plus 0, 1, 2. That's not real. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 1, 2. Okay, so this one, 5 and 2 is 7. Even that one does that, what I just said. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say if I plus J, hold on, let's do I, do we even need the parentheses? I plus J, yes we do. So if I plus J divided by 2 has a remainder, it's going to be odd, right? So we want to put it, we want to say push, we want to do array dot push a capital X, right, like that. And then down here we'll do an else array dot push a capital O, like that. So if it's odd, push an X. If it's odd, push an X. If it's even, push an O. All right, cool. So let's come down here and do a console.log array. Why don't we? Let's check it out. Okay, so we got OX, OX, OX for the first one, XOXO, OX, OX, XO. That looks good. That looks good. So now let's, right here, let's say result.push, and every time it goes through, we're going to push the array that we just created. All right? So now let's do a console.log result and test that out. All right, and so we've got this. Here's one with, luckily we got an easy one with 3 columns. So just like that, works like a charm. Right here, same. And so let's get rid of this console.log and let's just say return result. Test it out. And look at that, awesome. And attempt it. And boom, just like that. But you know what? We can do this in a much shorter syntax. We can use a couple of methods to take care of this. We're going to use the array.from method to start off with. What am I doing? First, let's say const chessboard equals, and to shorten up even more, instead of saying rows, we're just going to say R, and instead of saying columns, we're going to say C. All right. So we're going to have this arrow right here instead of having to do the lets and the fors and the blah, 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 blah. So right here, we're going to say, let's do a console.log to start out with. Console.log, so we can test while we go. And right here, we'll say array.from, all right? So if you're unaware of the array.from or you need a refresher, we've got this right here. The array.from static method creates a new shallow copied array instance from an iterable or array-like object. So all we got to do really, especially for this one, since we're doing the indexes, we're going to use this syntax, the array.from. We're going to have an array-like object right here, and then element, index, and an expression for the function, all right, that we're going to do to each one of the elements. So let's come over here, up. First things first. Actually, let me show you real quick. So we're going to say array.from. Let's go back. Let's see if I can find it down here. So first thing we need is this array-like thing right here to put in here. So let's come down here and see what some examples might look like. So you see array.from, they're building an array right here. Right here they're doing an object which length is 5. What else do we got down here? Well, can't see anything else, but we can use logic specifically on this one because it's just an array. So that means an array had to have been constructed. So we can just use the array constructor. And the array constructor is used to create array objects, just like that. So what we're going to do is use this syntax right here. We're just going to have array and array length. And right now the array length needs to be R, the rows. So we're going to say array constructor right here. And for the length, we'll just say R. Now let's just give it a test to see what it looks like right now. All right, so we've got something like this. It's not great, but it's every single one of these is undefined, and that's good enough for right now. These are all the rows. So now let's do the little expression. So as we can see here, the expression we're going to be using is the array-like object, which is the array constructor, and then the element index. So we don't need the element just like down here. All we needed was the I and the J, the index and the other index. So what we're going to do here is just say underscore for where as a placeholder for the element, and then we'll say I for index right here. Then we'll have this arrow right there. And the thing about this is we're doing a double on this. We're going to be doing just as double as we did on this one. So we're going to grab this whole thing, and we're going to say the expression for this one is this expression right here, except we're going to change it to columns, and instead of I, we're just going to call this J, just like that. So basically, hopefully this doesn't confuse you too much, but basically it's just the same thing as this right here. But the thing is, how do we get this part of the expression into here? in a one-liner, okay? Well, let's bring this up. Let's comment this part out right now. And let me show you a little trick, okay? So right here, as we can see in this part, we're doing we're doing the array.push twice. So let's comment this part out so I can show you this thing, all right? We can just do something like this. We could go array.push, because we're going to do it regardless. And we'll just do which one we're going to push inside of here. So we know that this is going to give us a 1 or a 2. This one right here, because if it's even, it's going to give us a. If it's even, it's going to give us a 0, and if it's odd, it's going to give us a 1. So what do we know that's like a 0 and a 1 that could be accessed with just a plain 0 and a 1? Well, we could use an array, right? Here's index 0, index 1. Or we could just use a regular old string. We could just do a string like this and press aux like that, because the O is now at index 0, at position 0, I should say, and the X is now at position 1. And then we can just use the old accessor array like that. And why don't we just get this right here, copy it, put it right here. Let's just see what happens. See if anything even happens. Ha 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 ha. We can fit that in a one-liner, no big deal. All right, we don't even need the array.push for this part. So let's get this out of here. Let's bring this all the way. Actually, we don't need this one anymore. We're just going to bring this one down, and we'll bring this one down. All right. And so right in here, why don't we just use this aux and the accessor right here. Boom, just like that. Let's see what the test will give us. Ooh, look familiar? O's and X's, and then X's and O's on the next one, and then it just keeps alternating. Let's see if this works. Let's see if this thing even works. Should I bring it down one? Yeah. All right. Let's see if this thing even works. For real. Test it out. Just like that, just like that, just like that. But you know what? We can do this even shorter. All right. I'm going to bring this whole thing back, and then we'll just comment it out like this. So we don't need that anymore. We got something better. Something shorter at least. Something more concise. So let's bring this up here and get rid of that. How about that? All right, so instead of this array.from, we're going to use the array constructor itself, and we're going to use, let's just do that. Let's just do an array R. All right, let's test that out. What's that look like? One empty item. There's got to be a better one. Come on. 17 empty items. There we go. Awesome. So somehow we've got to turn this array into that thing that we had when we did this one, where it's just a bunch of undefineds. So we're going to use this little thing called spread syntax. And spread syntax works like this. It allows an iterable such as an array or string to be expanded in places where 0 or more arguments or elements are expected. Specifically, these elements are for array literals. So let's get this array right here. Let's throw some brackets around it. Test it out. Okay, well that just looks dumb, but let's put a spread syntax around this and make this into an array literal. Test that out. Look at that. Doesn't that look familiar? Doesn't that look like what this part, what this part gave us when we checked it the first time? So we've got this. So instead of doing the rest of this function, we're going to do a map on it. All right, we're going to say .map and use the map method. If you need a refresher or first time hearing about the map method, it creates a new array populated with the results of calling a provided function on every element in the calling array. So this one's got a simple function. It's turning every function. It's doubling every one of these elements. So the x is going to be, when the x is 1, it's going to be multiplied by 2, made 2. 4 times 2 is 8. 9 times 2, 18. 16 times 2, 32. Let's just run it just to make sure. And it does happen just like that. So right like this, What we're going to use as the function on this is the same function that we used on this one, all right? We're just going to get this right here, all right, and put it right in here, okay? And for the rest of the expression, we're just going to do like we did on the other one, and we're going to highlight this whole thing, put it right here, change the R to a C, change the I to a J, and then believe it or not, we're just going to take this right here, copy that, and just put this right here. And look, that's even shorter. Test it out. That looks familiar. Let's get rid of this console.log. All right, just like that. Test it out one more time. And just like that. So there's 3 different ways we could do it. Let's attempt it and submit it. All right, let's check out these things right here. So we've got the array.from, and they're using that length with rows, but this is not as concise as the old array constructor. So I'm going to be doing this from now on because of this. Anyway, so but they did pretty much the same thing. They did the ox with the I and J. And then here's this one, even slicker. They did. They're changing the CH to X, from X to O each time. So first it's going to change this O to this X to an O, and then just keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Here's one with the array with rows. This is how we did it the second time. Pretty much exactly how we did it the second time, except for they used the and, the bitwise and operator instead of the, what did we use? The remainder operator, all right? And this, it pretty much does, this expression pretty much says if this is odd, if this plus this is odd. That's pretty much what this says also. And then you can just check out the rest if you feel like it. Let's go over to mine. Just me on this one. Best practice in my opinion. Very much like it. And we'll see you next time.